back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we are going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. Now, Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle was published by Level 99 Games as part of their Duelist line. And this game was designed by Jason D. Kingsley, illustrated by Fabio Fontes. And now this is a game where you are raiding a sky castle for treasure. You are two competing teams of like adventurers. They almost seem like classic RPG style adventurers that you're using to try to loot all the treasure out of the castle, but you're competing against the other team. The game is listed as a 2-player game for 20 to 30 minutes and for light intensity. So they don't really have like an age.
That's new.
Yeah, kind of an interesting thing there. So, all right, let's start with, I don't see anything that says age.
Yeah, it just has the choking hazard.
Right, but it says light intensity.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of like that, actually, rather than saying because a lot of times saying a specific age can be wrong. So, all right, 2 players, not a lot to talk about there. This is strictly a 2-player game. 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe a little closer to 30 minutes, but it's still a pretty quick game. And I would say that if you say 20 to 30, it's pretty accurate, especially after you play it once or twice. This is a very fast game to get through, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And as for it being a fairly light game, I'd put it maybe on the heavier side of light games, or lighter side of middleweight games, because there is a fair amount going on, but the rules themselves are fairly easy. The stuff that's going on is really more about the depth of the strategy and the tactics. And card counting and knowing what might be still in one of your opponent's piles and such. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, what age would you recommend this to if you were to pick an age? What do you think?
10 and up.
10 and up? Okay, I'll go with that. All right, so without any further ado, let's open this up. We'll have a look at what comes in the box for Professor Treasure's Secret... It's a tongue twister. Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. So first off, we've got a little catalog for some other Level 99 games. I think this is the first one we ever actually bought from Level 99, though. I'm not certain. I was going to say, this I think was the first one. So then we have the rules, which I don't know if this is a standard for Level 99 or not, but they did it kind of on a fold-out sheet. Now, the rules aren't bad, and I do like that they go through lots of diagrams, and they have a full round of play, exactly how it all works, which really helped me to understand how to play this game, because I was having trouble picturing it until I went through the example of play, and then I was like, oh, I get it. It makes total sense to me. So I did really like that. I'm not sure I like the whole fold-out thing, though. I usually prefer a book. I don't know. That might be a silly gripe on my part. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I don't really read rules.
So, well, yeah, you make me read the rules to everything. So then we have the stack of tiles. Now, the tiles are nice and thick in cardboard. Nice and chunky. These are quite sturdy cardboard. You have nice anime-style illustrations on them. This is what the backs of all of them look like. So this is an artifact. Let me show you. This is a one variety of chest. The chests show how many keys they require for you to purchase those chests. Here is a key. Here is a smaller chest worth less points that only takes 1 key to purchase. Let's see what else. Find some of the really pretty ones. Here's a bigger, nicer chest worth a lot of points, requires 3 keys. And that's about it, really. There's a few different kinds of chests. You have keys, you have artifacts, and then you have the cards, which are a big part of the game as well. So now for the cards, we have skeleton key cards, which they all look the same. They're double-sided, and you have a nice deck of these, because these are going to be needed. You have a couple of cheat sheets for scoring. Now, these took me a minute to figure out because they're actually done in a different format than they tell you how the scoring works in the book. It took me a second to realize why they were different. It's because the way they're listed on here, they're based on how many you have of something, but it's the total amount for all of those. And that kind of confused me a little bit the first time I looked at them, but they're good cheat sheets. And once you've figured that out, I don't think I have any complaint about the scoring cheat sheets. And then you have the cards, which there are 2 sets of cards, one red, one blue. And these 2 sets of cards have all of your characters on them, which I believe they call roles in the rules. Because, again, they seem like classic RPG style characters. You have a smuggler, a lookout, a scout, captain, a jeweler, an explorer, a thief, and a sentry. And all of these cards will show you their initiative, how and where you play them, as well as what tiles they're able to take. And that's basically everything that comes in the box here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take you over to the table, and we're going to run you through a full round of this at least to show you how it goes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how this plays and how it feels. And then we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so here we can see a game of Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle set up and ready to go for the first round. So you shuffle up all of the castle tiles and then you deal up a 3x4 grid of 12 tiles of random tiles to be placed out. You place the rest of the tiles in a draw pile next to the castle. This is the castle. And you place the deck of skeleton keys next to the castle as well. You decide which player is going to be going first. Both players get their deck of 8 of their roll cards, and then they randomly remove 2 of the cards from their deck. They are allowed to look at them to see which ones have been removed, but they put them on the side and will not be using them for the game. The first player, which is going to be me, then randomly deals the cards that he kept into 3 piles of 2 each, while the second player deals their cards into 2 piles of 3 each. Then you're ready to start the first round. So for the first round, the way it begins is starting with the first player. They must pick one of their piles of rolls and play those cards. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this pile of rolls here, and I'm going to choose to place, let's see here. I'm going to place the lookout here. Now the lookout says he is an initiative 2. And he is placed on a tile. It tells you that in the middle of his card here, that he is placed on a tile. And it says the tile he is on cannot be swapped by a rival, and he takes the tile he is on. So I am going to place the lookout there. And the other roll that I took is the jeweler, who says place on an empty tile. And she's allowed, when she takes at her initiative of 5, she's allowed to take any card from either her row or column. So I'm going to place her there.
Going to place the thief there.
Oh, dastardly, dastardly thief that you are.
The thief is placed outside a column, and whenever a rival takes a tile, the thief may thieve it.
Well, I guess my lookout's not getting that key, huh?
And then I'm going to place the captain outside of this row, where he takes a tile in the row or column. It's the row because
he could have been placed in a column if you wanted.
Yes. And then I am going to play the explorer on top of the jeweler, making so the jeweler cannot go until after the explorer goes.
Well then, okay, I'm going to play the smuggler over here. The smuggler is placed on a tile. If the tile they're on is taken, they get to immediately take one of the adjacent tiles to them. And then I'm going to place the scout here, who before he goes, he's allowed to swap one of the adjacent tiles with the tile he's on, and he takes the tile he is on.
I'm going to place the scout here. You just explained the scout.
I did indeed.
Then I'm going to place the jeweler here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am going to place the smuggler there.
Okay. I'm going to place the explorer on top of the scout to delay him till after the explorer goes. And then I am going to place the thief over here because I can. So that is it. We have played all of our cards, so now we're going to go in initiative order, and in the case of a tie for initiative, you start with the player who is first player for this round. So I'm going to start with initiative 1. My scout gets to go, and I'm not going to use his ability to swap any because actually I do want the key he is on. So I'm going to take the key tile, and I'm going to bring it over to my area. Keys are reusable. You can use them once each round. You flip them over to show that they have been used, and you need them to pay for chests. So that is my number 1. So now your number 1 is covered, which means we're going to move over to number 2s. So I've got the lookout over there on number 2, which unfortunately, I know what's about to happen. I get to take what I'm on.
I'm going to thieve it.
I knew you would. So my lookout unfortunately does not get that key. The thief activates and interrupts me and takes that key. So now we're going to move on to number 3s, then 4s. There are none of those.
There's a 4.
Oh, there is a 4. My bad. I didn't see the captain over here. Okay, Captain, what are you going to do?
I am going to take...
The one the smuggler is on?
Hold on. Let me read the... I gotta...
You gotta remind yourself of what he does?
So he takes adjacent.
Yep. Oh yeah, about that.
I'm going to take this.
Okay. Now that requires 2 keys to take, so you've got 1 key to flip face down. And then, of course, you'll have to take your first skeleton key. Now, that face down one, again, it will get flipped up before the next round, so you'll be able to use it again to buy more chests, which are worth points and very important. And the first skeleton key is actually free. It's not that big a deal. It's only additional ones that are then worth negative points. So after the 4, we move on to the 5s, and you have the only 5 that is not covered up because you covered up my 5 over here. So why don't you go ahead with your jeweler?
She's going to take the one she's on.
She's going to take the artifact. Artifacts are free. You just take them. So then we move on to 6s. So I have my smuggler over there, and you did not take his the one he was on, so he's got to take the one he's on because he only gets to take adjacent ones if you try to take your the smuggler's tile. So he's going to take his artifact, and then you have your smuggler for the same reason will have to take that key. Okay, and then after the 6s, now we're on to the...
Are you not thieving the key?
Oh, good call. I wasn't paying enough attention while I'm explaining the game. Yes, my thief will activate, and I will take the key from the smuggler. Now, an important thing is the thief does not take, he thieves, which is a different keyword, and it clarifies in the rules that when a thief thieves a tile from a smuggler, it does not count as taking, therefore the smuggler does not get to take a different tile. So that is a counter to the smuggler's effect. So now we move on to 7s, and unfortunately my explorer has run out of options because he only takes adjacent tiles to himself, orthogonally adjacent. There's nothing there. As soon as I take him off, the scout of Lynn's will get to activate.
And I take the tile that I'm on.
And then you will get to take your explorer, who only has 1 option since, again, he has to take someone adjacent. So now you've got the keys for that, though.
And it's only 1 key.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. And when you remove the explorer, I will get to activate my jeweler, who, again, only has 1 option, and it is this big chest that she is sitting on. It costs 3 keys. As you can see here, 3 keys to purchase. I have 2 keys over here. I'm going to flip both of them face down, and I will take my first skeleton key. But that's nice because that's going to be worth 12 points. Now we're going to prepare for the next round. So we flip all of our keys face up again so that we can use them. And then we're going to deal out and rebuild the castle here. So let me start from the top, I should. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're seeing far... Oh, there's a key. I was going to say there's far less keys coming out here in the second round. There we go. So now, there we go. We have now rebuilt the castle, and what's going to happen is we take the cards that we had removed for the previous round, put them back in our decks, shuffle up our decks, remove another 2 cards, and Lynn will be the first player for the second round. So she would deal up 3 piles of 2 cards each, while I would deal up 2 piles of 3 cards each, and would play it in reverse. Then we would do a third round, and after the third round, where we switch back again, and I would be the first player again in the third round, we count up our points. Now, chests are marked with how many points they're worth right there on the bottom. The first artifact you collect is worth 1 point, the second one is worth 2 points, then the third one is worth 3. Each artifact is worth 1 more point than the last. Keys are worth nothing, but they help you to get the chests, which are worth a lot. The first skeleton key you get is worth 0 points, and then each skeleton key beyond that is worth an additional -1 points. The second one you collect is worth -1. The third you collect is worth -2, and then -3, -4, and so on, and it gets bigger and bigger exponentially. They have a nice little cheat sheet which quickly reminds you, if you can just count how many you have. I have 1, 2, let's say I have 3 skeleton keys. That would totally be worth 3 points, and if I had, say, 5 artifacts, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be a total of 15 points. So again, you play the 3 rounds, and after you're done, you count up your points to see who has won the game of Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. So now we're going to head back over to the table, and we're going to talk about how this game feels and how it plays, and then we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. And first, I just want to say, I love the title of this game. It's amusing, it's fun to say. In a day and age when it's really hard to come up with a very unique and interesting title to a game, this is a great, unique, and interesting title. So first, I wanted to say that. Now, do you want to go first or second on the negatives for talking about this game? What do you think?
You can go first.
Okay, so my negatives are nitpicky at best. So my first negative is I would have preferred the book to be formatted as a book, not as a big pamphlet. That feels very nitpicky. I am like embarrassed to say that as one of my negatives. The only other negative is I'm not a big fan of how the cheat sheet was structured. And again, that feels very nitpicky. I was able to figure it out fairly quickly. I'd say within about a minute or 2, so it's not that big a deal. It just was a little confusing at first because they explained it one way in the rules and then it was shown a different way on the cheat sheet. Very minor, very minor. Other than that, I don't have any glaring negatives for this game at all. How about you? What do you think?
No, I don't really have any negatives.
Okay, so what about positives? You go first on some positives. What are some things that are really, really positive about Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle?
The play style, how you actually play. I can't think of another game that we own that's
the mechanics.
That's quite like it.
So it's first. Well, there is one, but you're not a fan of it, which is probably why you're not thinking of it. It reminds me a little bit, and this might make sense to you after I say it, but it reminds me a little bit of Hiroshima Hex in that you play a bunch of tiles, a bunch of stuff out, and then it happens in initiative order. It's not quite the same, mind you, but it's a similar kind of thing where you play a bunch of cards out and then they happen in initiative order. It's just that, unlike with Hiroshima Hex, you're not waiting for someone to play the tile that triggers it all to happen. Here, you play them all, you're done, you stop, and then you do them in initiative order. And you do it 3 times. So that's the only other game I can think of that we have that has a similar play style. But and I quite like Hiroshima Hex. It's not the same as this. This is very different, but it's reminiscent of it, and I like both of the games very much. Now, you're not a fan of Hiroshima Hex, but you do like this, yes?
Yes.
So just the way that the play style works, is that what you're saying, that it's like big ups, big positive, big thumbs up? Anything else you want to talk about positively?
No.
So I like that there's a lot of tactics and strategy while you're playing the game. And you know where you can play your cards, but there's also a little bit of uncertainty. So each round, you don't know what tiles are coming up. And then once they're up, you know what's where, and you know where you can play your cards. But also at the beginning of every round, you don't know until you pull them out which cards of your rolls are going to be removed. And then even after you know that, and you've randomly dealt out your cards to the different piles, and you know what's in each pile, you don't know if your opponent has certain rolls, and there's always that, ooh, should I play this pile early? But ooh, if I play it, my opponent could totally take this roll's tile with the thief if they have the thief, and you don't know if they have the thief. You don't know if that's one of the removed cards or not. I would say always assume they have the thief because only two cards get removed. So most of the time they have the darn thief, which drives me up a wall. But I love that, and I really love that whole feeling you get from trying to outmaneuver your opponent and play the right cards at the right time, and the way it goes back and forth with each of you being the first player at least once and the second player at least once. It feels like it fairly balances out. So anything else you want to talk about the way this game plays and feels? What do you think? No? You're just straight across the board. I like it. I like how it feels. I like how it plays. So do you want to I like the whole gaining resources to use later. I like the whole getting the keys. And then that you have that option to take the cheat of grabbing some skeleton keys, but the more skeleton keys you get, the more points you lose in the long run. So you have to be like, is this worth it? Yes, that chest is worth 12 points. It's okay for me to grab a couple skeleton keys right now. I'll get more reusable keys later, and then I'll be able to use them from round to round. And those keys become very important because the chest can be worth a lot of points. So, do you want to rate it first or second? What do you think?
I'll rate it first.
So, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle? I love that title. I love it.
I'm going to give it 7.
Okay. So 7 means you like it and you'd play it anytime somebody asks. I thought you might be higher on it than a 7. 7's good. Now, don't get me wrong. 7's a thoroughly positive rating, but I thought you were going to be a little higher. I'm going to give it an 8. And the reason I'm going to give it an 8 is I think maybe I fell in love with the actual mechanics of the game a little more than you did, though you do seem to have been enjoying it.
Yeah.
But the strategy and the tactics of this one really click with me. I've been really liking it. I think it's a fantastic 2-player dueling game. It's one that I think I will be asking to play with you a lot in the future. And I'm glad you gave it a 7 because that means you'll be saying yes just about all the time in the future. So there you have it. That is our review and tutorial on Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. And FYI, this is a 2 thumbs up review from us here on the Board Game Captain for Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. I'm going to say that like 5 times fast.
Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle.
It's totally a tongue twister. How did you do that? If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, either on Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle or this video,
just say Secret Sky Castle. You always have to say Secret Sky Castle.
Feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed doing, if you enjoyed watching this video and you'd like to see us do more review and tutorial videos like this, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube, and hit that little bell icon on my channel so you get alerts every time I upload a new video. And let me know in the comments down below if you can say Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle 5 times fast without messing up. And until next time, game on.